But okay, cool. So we're back. Sorry about that, guys. There was a bit of darkness, and I tried to change it with lighting, but mine's not like a professional professional videographer or anything like that. So now we just got a light just like pinging into our eyes. We just gotta firm it. It is what it is. It is what it is. But I don't want to lose track of the flow that we had. And to be taking that that aspect of flow, to segue into what we were just talking about, which is something that I wanted to talk about. Sorry, which is animation. Talk to me about animation now. How do you think animation relates to creativity, or how do you think it relates to life?
So, we had creativity,
Yes.
and now we get into, I guess, philosophy and expression at the same time as well when it comes to animation. Because animation, you have the potential. You start off with a blank canvas. The only thing that I guess is stopping. There's nothing stopping you from creating whatever you want aside from technical ability, technical skill. So that's why I like animation quite a lot, because you can pretty much just create your own universe, straight up, your entire world full of different characters, and have them move and operate in that world just based off your study of life. Based off your study of life, how you perceive reality, you can express that through an animation and portray the exact emotions that you're trying to portray, the exact kind of I guess feeling and atmosphere that you want to convey to the audience, I guess, with animation. So
you're literally taking that real life,
yes,
and you're kind of redoing that in animation form.
Yes,
but you have to break it down to first principles to even understand how to do that, right?
Exactly. You gotta break it down into the base. Like, you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know the foundations.
Like what? What kind of stuff do you have to know?
You gotta for this analogy, you gotta learn the rules of the game before you can start manipulating the rules of the game. You know what I mean? So you need to learn the foundations before you can start moving on to where these other advanced techniques are actually built upon. You know what I mean?
Is it like the foundation of movement? Is that what you gotta learn, or is it like the foundation of just how people react to different stimuli or something like that? What kind of foundations are we talking? I would say. What did you learn? What did you have to learn when you decided animation?
So obviously you gotta start with drawing.
Okay.
Learn how to draw. Fucking the geometry, the different shapes. When you start drawing, you learn that like geometry plays a big factor in expression of your characters, your scene. There's a thing called shape language, which is the quality of your lines, the sharpness of your lines, the softness, the I guess how rounded, how edged the lines are. They all contribute to portraying a different type of characteristic for your different characters and shapes and stuff. So a big guy, maybe a fat guy, would probably be round, a lot of circles, a lot of ovals. And once you start drawing, you kind of start seeing these shapes in real life as well, like fucking the triangles in the trees, the rectangles and the cylinders in the trunks and shit. And then it gets into human anatomy as well. And then movement is where it gets interesting. You get into the fluidity of things, you get into the flow, you get into the motion, because nothing how do I describe it? Nothing teleports, you know what I mean? There is always a cause and effect, the law of correspondence, but we won't get into that.
We won't get into that this time, bro.
The Kybalion, bro.
You're not ready for that one.
Kybalion, the laws of correspondence,
You're not
bro.
ready for that one.
Damn.
But go on, talk
Either way.
So tell me about movement then. Those movement.
So every movement is preceded by like an anticipation for said movement. Nothing just starts from 0 to 60, we're not cars. There's always a build up. There's an acceleration that needs to occur before you make a movement. There's like that ease in, when you go for a punch, you don't necessarily, you can snap, but
even from that, it starts with the shoulder.
It starts with the shoulder, it starts with the back, starts with the feet. All of your body is moving to just throw that one punch. And there's like a whole, I guess, concert going on when it comes to movement.
And as an animator, you have to understand the whole process in order to make it as close to realism as possible.
Not exactly the whole process, but you got to understand, I guess, the laws of the principles of animation. There's like 12 principles of animation. Cannot remember them off the top of my head, but
that's 12. That's a lot.
It goes into things like ease in, ease out, squash, stretch, anticipation, exaggeration as well. all of these movements, they portray character. They portray a person's personality,
Yeah.
how they express themselves in this world. It's
I got a
quite
question on that.
interesting.
I got a question. I love that. I love that you went on that. That's crazy. Like, just animation is such an interesting topic to me. I've always grown up watching animation, but I've never thought about it that deeply. You know, to be able to see it from that perspective that you're talking about, which is like, you know, understand the rules of engagement behind it, the rules behind it. Like, I've already really found that with writing, where I wanted to understand the rules behind it. Like, how do the sequence of words, you know, how do you structure it? How does they make you invoke a certain type of emotion, all of that stuff there. Alright, cool. Then we'll talk about something like, you know, something else. I want to come back to animation later when I ask you about one of your favorite animators. But for now, I want to get into writing since we touched on that a little bit. Talk to me about writing. You mentioned the Kabbalion, which is like, guys, if you don't know what Kabbalion is, you know, go search it out. Like, you know, I warned you. You know, you're gonna be like in a different level of consciousness. But yeah, talk to me about, you know, your love of writing and just love of reading and all of that. Like, what your journey there was like and how that links to what we talked about before with animation and creativity.
I see. Well, writing is completely different. Not completely different. It's the same level of expression, creative as well. But I think it's more of it's a less processed form of creation. Because you are literally putting pen to paper, putting your thoughts out, and using your imagination to just spawn fucking information and data. It's like there's so much potential that comes with writing. You can make anything with writing. The way it's structured, even writing has a flow. Like, if you understand the flow of writing, then you can portray any expression, portray any emotion. You can create a complete fucking movie in someone's head with just words.
Yeah.
And the best part is, it doesn't even stop at the author's expression. It's like the author has an idea of how this wants to be interpreted.
Yeah.
But I think there's a famous phenomenon called like the death of the author, where
Yeah.
people are going to take that information, interpret it in their way, and then pass it off as truth, as how it's meant to be as well.
100%.
But that's the beauty of fucking art, writing, creativity. There's a subjectivity in it. Not all of it is going to be clear cut, defined, concrete. There is, once you create this one piece of work, it can now expand into thousands of different iterations and variations,
100%.
just from people's different interpretations, which spawn from their experiences, from their life, from the way they exist, the way they operate.
It's mad.
It's fucking bonkers, bro.
It's mad, bro.
It is bonkers.
It's mad. It's mad.
It's a strange thing.
Let me go on that. And I finish your point and I'll go on that.
It's because essentially you can write something. Someone might not be able to understand it, but they can resonate and kind of feel the vibe of what you're writing, what you're saying. There's a whole tonality. There's a whole, I guess, structure to the way things are.
Or there's a familiarity, like, yeah, just to go on that, yeah. Then, or there's like, as a writer, I've known, just like from my personal experience, like, whenever I write and I share with someone, I always look for if they understand what I was trying to say, because it's not even about the quality of the work, it's about the understanding that I'm trying to convey. So if I'm like asking you, do you understand the words I'm saying? I'm trying to paint a picture by putting these words in a certain sequence, and then this paragraph under it, like, I'm like so like minute when it comes to details like that. I spend hours on a sentence because I'm like, you know, the sentence has to make sense, because then it's a sequence. It's like we're talking about animation. It's a sequencing of it. You know, one thing has to come before another for you to process it. What information am I letting you process first, and then what information I'm going to end you on? That affects the whole body of work. Exactly. How you can see. Yeah, how you can see it.
You said it better.
You go on.
Oh my gosh. No, I can't go off that wall, bro. I need you to continue.
Alright, fair enough.
You were saying that.
But no, 100%. Like the sequence and also I think that's why writing is so important for creatives, because I think like to get your mind in that kind of like structure where you put down things on the paper, then you have to structure it. So you're structuring your mind as you do that. You're taking it apart. What do I really mean by this sentence? This is not really good. Okay, again and again, and then you get to a sentence, you're like, okay, that's exactly what I mean. That's what I was trying to say. That's what I thought, and not just thought. That's what I felt. That's what I felt, and that's what I understood. That's what I understood. That's where it came from. You know, and I think that ability to do that, it's not just writers that can do that. I think poets can do that. I'm also a poet, and I love doing that also too. You know, but I think it's really important to be able to do that. You know, and I just go off that. Then I wanted to talk to you about. You have this amazing perspective. I want to know where it came from, the influences that led you to get to this perspective. So we can talk about animation first. Where did it stem from? Where you start understand and see animation the way you see it so uniquely?
Damn.
Damn, bro.
Damn.
I'm so angry to have visual for this.
Yeah,
It's
no
fine.
visual. It's something. It's something. But
you might just have to hear this. Yeah, hear this when you're doing whatever.
Hey, you know what they're saying, man? The lips of wisdom are closed except to ears of understanding. The kind of
Repeat that.
I said the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. My
so
God.
the eyes are also closed. You just have to hear.
Sheesh.
Ears, brother.
Open your ears,
Sorry, go
man.
on.
Listen
On
to
this
the
one.
wisdom. If your ears are open, you'll gain the wisdom. If your ears are open, you just gotta listen.